Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omni video. Today we are doing my weekly Crystal Quest. Now I don't normally do videos of my weekly Crystal Quest, but I did do it for like the first time that I ever did it with my red team. And I figured we'd do another one now because I am moving on to a new color. My red crystal room's completely done. I did decide to move on the blue. That seemed like the color that was best for me with the characters I had and the characters that I like using. And we've got like 3 really premium characters here. So I think this is going to be my main team for blue. Unless the fight dictates otherwise that I can't use this setup, that I have to bring somebody else in. But I think Aranea is one of the best DPS characters in the game. I think she's going to be fantastic. Rosa, as you guys have seen on my channel, I really like her as one of the best supports in the game. And then Weiss, just one of the best like characters in the game, period, as well. Very good off-turn damage, very good BTFX. So yeah, I think this is a very, very nice team we can run. I think, like, looking at my roster and seeing that, oh yeah, Weiss is also blue, that kind of clinched it for me. Like, blue is just really, really good for what I had. And because I like using Rosa so much, like, to me, having that, like, really good support, force charging character as, like, a core of a team is really good for Crystal Quest, right? Which is why green is really popular color. There's a lot of really good support options you can use on green, right? The reason I didn't go with green was when I was looking at my roster, like, to me, there was just, like, one really top-tier DPS, and it was Sephiroth, and it was, like, you know, I like Sephiroth a lot, but I kind of like, you know, Rosa, Aranea. Like, this setup I just like a little bit better, so that's why I went with blue. Green didn't really have, like, a really mega, like, favorite DPS character that I currently owned, right? They definitely will in the future get, like, more upgrades to the characters, but then the other thing, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Locke is blue. And Locke would be coming with Strago if indeed Strago is what one of those mystery banners are. And Locke is just, you know, one of my favorite characters in these Final Fantasy VI. So I think Locke being blue, I think definitely could help. Actually, I kind of feel like I want to check it now because I don't want to misspeak there. But let me double check what Locke is. Basically, what we're doing in this fight, by the way, we'll talk through the fight as I'm kind of just like going through it. But The thing with this fight, this fight isn't too bad, and everybody this week will have the same fight, so it shouldn't be that bad for anybody. Really, the main gimmick with this fight, you just want to make sure you have melee damage FR is really all you need, and you kind of have to have it. It's very hard to out-ramp these guys. You can see they're at 75, and I'm at 46. They ramp very, very quickly, right? So you want to make sure you have melee to cancel them out, because they have one of the annoying force times that I hate, where it's 20 turns. Like, I've said this before. Pretty much if an enemy puts up a force time and it's 20 turns, that's basically a death sentence. That's like, if you can't cancel it, you're screwed. Because when they give them those high turn counts, it means that, like, they want you to cancel it. They don't want you to try to sit through it. And what they've been doing a lot with these enemies, with these 20 turn force times, is they do this thing where they, like, instantly heal back all the damage they take, or most of it, like 90% of it. So you basically aren't gaining anything on the enemies during their force time. So you really want to cancel it. So that's what's going to happen here, is the enemies are going to go into force. They're going to start healing back, so we got to get into force right away to fix that. Yes, Locke is blue. So Locke being blue, I think, is another really good thing for me, because I definitely like my Final Fantasy VI, right? So what's going to happen here is, I think, ideally, the way I would like to operate this team is to operate it through Rosa Force, because her force is so flexible, everybody's going to take it. But because this fight wants the melee damage, right, I was kind of forced into using Weiss. Now, I know that I could still do Rosa Force in the situation, and then Weiss Echo would actually cancel it, which is what I was planning to do. But what you're going to see here is the way the timing works out. Because I want to get Rosa BT effect up here. Now, I probably could have, like, ramped into Rosa and then done her force here, but then I wouldn't have had her BT effect up. So had I had her BT effect up earlier, I probably would have done that. And then Weiss would have been able to echo after Aranea, and we would have been fine. But now, because of, like, where it's kind of sitting, right, we do this attack here. The enemies, you can see, they're just healing back most of the damage, so we're not really going to make much progress on them. So we don't really want to spend a lot of time in force until we know we are canceling it. So we just let Aranea do an attack here, pretty much just to upkeep buffs. She's going to break and steal another turn. But once again, we're not really getting damage here. I'm not going to worry about pressing her force button, because we want melee damage to cancel. And, you know, Aranea's force would have been fine to use here, too, because I'm going to be using her for most of it, but we just decided to use Weiss. So Weiss is up right here, so you can see if I, like, waited for for Rosa, I would have forced, but then had to wait like a few more turns to get the Weiss. And I just didn't want to dilly-dally. So I'm like, let's just get into force now. Let's just get it canceled. I felt like we were going to get enough gains that it would be fine. And that's basically what happened. We got enough gains. It was fine. We get through this fight. It's not like a crazy hard fight. But normally, just in the future when I'm doing these crystal quests, what I'm normally going to do with this team is we'll ramp, get into Rosa force, we'll echo with as many other characters as I can, until I feel like I can line it up for Aranea going in with like 7 turns on a burst phase. We'll definitely be able to get to a much higher gauge than we do in this video. We do pretty much get to full gauge here. It's just not as fast as I would like. Alright, so Rose is popping in with an Echo. So you see 63% isn't the worst, right? So we'll take it. It's some gains. We'll take all the gains we can get. Keep the gauge up at 10. So we have Aranea. Now, we need Aranea's BT effect as well, right? So I didn't put that up ahead of time. I probably should have put that up a little bit sooner. So what I decided to do here is we're going to use the Force Echo. Because I know the Echo is going to break. We're going to steal a turn anyways. And then we'll just do BT effect with the extra turn. And then that way we'll have her BT effect up and we're good to go. Because then my thought is then like, on Aranea's next turn, instead of just going into her burst phase, we can actually pop her second Echo, which should break and give her a free turn. And then she can go into burst phase from there at a little bit of a higher gauge. Alright, so let's see what Aranea gets here on the BT. I think it's pretty low percent we get on that. If any at all, right? Okay, 43, that's solid. Like, we'll take it, right? And we have Rydia Call on. I put that on earlier, so that's why they're missing a bunch. So, yep, we're like, let's just... Basically, my goal here is just... I know I can get this done basically in one force, so I'm like, let's just use up all of our Echo. Let's get the gauge as high as we can. Let's keep that turn count low. And then Rosa, I think we're going to do the next Echo right away. Yup. And then on Aranea's next turn, we're just going to hop into Burst and kind of finish it off from there, right? Now, these fights, these Crystal Quests have been cycling already. So, like, I wasn't paying attention to it at first. I think I did a video earlier where I'm like, oh, yeah, Rubicante's great because people solo the Crystal Quest or whatever, and they just go for his quest. Well, his quest has been cycled out for a while now. So, I wasn't really paying attention to the cycles and what's going on. But you can at any time before you start re-rolling, there is an option to look at the list of quests. You want to make sure that, you know, if you are re-rolling, there is a certain mission that you're looking for, so you're not just re-rolling for no reason to try to find a fight that isn't there. The other thing with Kelger, who's dropping tonight, we will be streaming that. Kelger, you know, it won't matter for me because he's red. My red is already done. But for people I haven't started red, he is a really good pickup for Crystal Quest because he can solo a lot of Shinryus. Like, he's that type of character, right? Tanks, dodge tanks, evade tanks, counter tanks, whatever. Tanks are really good for soloing, and Kelger is no exception. So being an evade tank, like, yeah, as long as the boss isn't putting out a bunch of undodgeable stuff, he has 100% evade. So he can just sit there. The fight will take a little bit longer, but yeah, he'll just sit there and let the enemies go crazy on him. So he is a good solo character, which I know people like that. I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to solo. I like using full teams. I like using more of my roster. I think what I'm going to do with Kelger... I'm going to try to use a full red team because my red is full crystal boosted. And then there are some really good defense passes we can put in that will actually like slow down and delay my own characters. But I'm thinking like Reno, Kelger, and Beatrix is going to be a ridiculous team, right? Now I know Beatrix does magic damage and I think Kelger wants melee, but I think it'll still be fine. Like, she'll still be like doing damage. She won't be ticking every time, but I think there's going to be so much force ticking already that I think Kelger's force would work fine there, right? You know, I would have to look at all three of them, but depending on the fight, like, if the fight is physical damage, we could do Reno's Force, and then, like, we'll get good gains off of the physical hits. So, yeah, there's a lot of options we can do with that team. But I like that within red, I can build just, like, a really, really good, like, off-turn team comp like that. So, yeah, we'll probably take a look at that tonight when we stream. I'm thinking for his character guide, I'm going to run that exact team comp. And we'll go into, like, the Ultimisia fight. And I think he's going to dominate in there. And what's really awesome is the pesky, what is it? The pesky cat that likes to confuse you in that fight won't work on Kelger because he evades. So that'll be awesome. He'll just dodge it out and we'll be good. All right, so we're at about 655%. Now, Aranea is quite powerful because she pretty much has the Sid Reigns effect where she gets this really strong follow-up at the end. So yeah, we're doing like 40 mil shots already. And the gauge was only at 650. So Aranea definitely is up there, can do a lot of damage. We don't even get to see like a full shot with her at full gauge in here. And she still takes care of this fight, which once again, this is a level 3 fight, so it's 1.5 times the HP they normally have. So there's a lot of damage. They're soaking up a lot of damage here. And Aranea is putting in some good work. I think that's the other reason I wanted to do blue. It's just like Aranea is such a good character that I haven't really found chances to use because it's like I always want to just use Astos as my main DPS. So this is a great way to get me to use like a really good DPS and a character I like in Aranea. So yeah, I think blue is the right call here for me. If any of you have moved on to your second crystal, you can let me know what colors you've been doing. I feel like to me like black and white have been very tough to like want to do or like justify doing because they're like very one-sided crystals, right? Like white is a lot of like the healing support stuff, but maybe not a lot of great DPS options. And then black has like a lot of tanks and like DPS options, but not a lot of like battery healing type stuff or like force charging, right? So, which kind of makes sense. Like that's kind of like what you think of with those colors, right? You think of black, you think of black magic, all that. You think of white magic healing. But anyways, there we go. There was a 300 mil burst phase for 2 enemies, like fairly not optimized, right? We were under 800% for the whole force time. Now we come out of it and we still get 2 more whacks here, right? So we're going to do the LD. See how much damage we can get here on the LD. By the way, I did look at a video of Rufus and it looks like our boy Astos has finally been surpassed. I saw Rufus in a video was doing 150 mil shots, which is crazy. So yeah, Rufus is going to be the next big DPS, man. Holy cow. Alright, so we got some pretty good damage there. Now, on the last turn, we'll just pop the Pandemonium Summon. This will pop off some more damage. And they're basically dead at this point. I probably just chose the wrong skill here because I did Weiss's LD, but I forgot it was like full single target. So we don't get hardly any damage on the enemy on the right. But had I picked a different attack, we probably would have finished the fight there. But that's okay. The enemy on the right is just like basically one more attack and we're done. So we'll pretty much say we got that done in 1 force time. We just had to extend like one more attack here, right? So we'll let Rosa kind of finish it out. And we take the launch damage as well. And there you go. So that was my first week of doing full blue crystal for my blue crystal team. Let me know how you guys handled this fight. Let me know what color you're currently working on. And hopefully you guys all be here later tonight for the Calgary stream. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.